we're doing a podcast. It's podcast 64 from Football-Oranje. If you usually listen to us on SoundCloud, iTunes, or Football Nation Radio, today we've actually filmed it. We're on YouTube. Come and say hello. Come and watch. And this person here, you might not recognise so well. He's been on Football-Oranje a fair few times there recently. It's good old Jeroen Thijssen. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you.
Although how do you know that? Because we've been chatting for hours in this pub in the
Hague.
But yeah,
as you do with your podcast. Cheers, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're just going to do the usual stuff, but for once we're actually doing it live rather than over a Skype call. So should be nice. We're going to talk a fair few things, I think, from the Ajax game the other day in the Champions League. A bit about the Eredivisie, but also a bit about the Dutch national team as well. Where should we start? Do you want to choose?
Nope.
I've got a couple of Twitter questions actually I still need to get up.
Yeah, there were a couple of questions that came in on Twitter, so yeah, why don't we incorporate those as well?
I'll crack them open.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what then, first thing, the Ajax game the other day, that Chelsea defeat, it was 1-0, and it was last minute goal. Do you think Ajax deserve to lose?
Yeah.
You do?
I mean, it is. I think Chelsea were the better team. They had several opportunities throughout the match. It was a bit harsh how everything played out and winded up, but I think overall, if you look at the entire 90 minutes, I do think Chelsea were better than Ajax.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the goal, but I think they hit the bar early in the game as well. I mean, wasn't a great game, wasn't an exciting game. I thought it was interesting. It was either of the team could have scored throughout the entire match, but I just think overall Chelsea were just slightly better and looked like making things happen, and they did quite close to the end. But I mean, Ajax probably thought like they were able to get away with a draw, which would have been good.
I think that's what they wanted all game, really, wasn't it? They just wanted a draw to keep them tying over in this group, which they've been doing well in so far, but they were sloppy the other day. Quite frustrating to watch. Usually it's quite exciting on a Champions League night, but it wasn't.
It wasn't. I did think it was kind of an exciting game, but not because it was a great football match.
No.
But it was like, I had this feeling like something can happen and that could completely change the game, or that one goal which was very late. Yeah, that was okay. That is it.
Yeah.
It wasn't particularly exciting, as in what a fantastic game of football, but it was exciting. Like, it did leave me watching like what's going to happen. Not that it was great, but it was kind of exciting, and to see how does Ajax play against Chelsea, which are probably the two favourites from that group.
Yeah, they're probably the two strongest teams because the other two have their weaknesses. What got me though was Ajax were quite unlucky with the VAR goal, because if something's clear and obvious to change, which that for me wasn't, why did they give it offside? Why was it not given as a goal? It was quite contentious because on Twitter there were images being released of the goal, and it was as though they took the offside decision from like the image before. That was after Ziyech had kicked the ball, it left his foot 4 or 5 yards, and then they took it from that image. Yeah, that's really quite poor.
That particular image, there is no doubt about it. There's no debate about it. That was offside, and it's like, okay, it was a toe or it was a shoulder.
Yeah, the shoulder.
But yes, that was offside. However, that is, the ball has already left the foot.
Yeah, by quite a considerable amount.
Yeah. So you need to take it back, I don't know, half a second. And I did see an image, but I didn't see a clear image. But even though the image that was originally shown, that was kind of clear, but that was even still very close. But I mean, it's either offside or it isn't. That is not really something that you can argue about. But that was just barely offside. Okay, fair enough. It wasn't yards. But if you go back to the exact moment that Ziyech passed the ball, I couldn't say that it was offside or if it was onside. No, I would need to see more angles.
Yeah.
So that is tricky. And then what I always think is, if something is not clear, if you're not sure, then it should be advantage to the attacking party. Now, if they have like a microchip ingrained into their bodies, then you can say, okay, this is really offside, or it's not. But that's really complicated issue in this case. Yeah, but the footage that we saw, yeah, okay, you could class that as offside. However, the ball has already left the foot.
Yeah, and something that was used a lot in the Eredivisie, but I don't see so much in the Champions League, is the referee goes and has a look himself. Why have they stopped that? Because for me, I found that it was quite effective in the Eredivisie, where the referee would go and have a look at it again himself and confer with the VAR. But that wasn't available in that.
Yeah, well, I think for offside that.
But that's one of those things, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah. Offside is offside, and that's it.
I think a VAR or any kind of technical solution can either prove or disprove this is offside, and there's no more need for the referee to check it. Now, there was a handball, or not, but there was a handball situation earlier in the match, which I think was a handball and where Ajax should have been given a penalty. That is a moment, that's always debatable. That was a situation where I think the VAR should have checked, and maybe we should have said to the referee, hey, this might have been a handball. Could you check it out? And that happens in Holland.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why that didn't happen in the Champions League. There should be set rules for that. I mean, okay, the referee can then decide, yes, this is a handball, or no, it's not a handball. Okay, fine, that's the decision. But in the Eredivisie, that would have been quite likely a VAR situation, whether the VAR would have said, hey, ref, come check it out. This is quite likely a penalty because you did not see it, and this is quite possibly a refereeing mistake. And I was checking the reviews after the match, and they are saying, I'm not 100% sure of what the rules are, but they were saying that this is not how it happens in the Champions League, which I think is surprising. I think if we have the VAR, which I personally think is fantastic, yes, there are still many debates, but we have the VAR, okay, let's have it, but then we should have it the same in all the big leagues.
Yeah, it's not consistent at all.
And it's not fully consistent.
No. In the Premier League, there's complaints about it that the referee never goes to look at any decision, and it's just, well, someone can make a mistake up there too, and let's move on from that, because VAR is something that I think is working well in the Eredivisie, but not so much elsewhere at the moment. Our first question was actually concerning Ajax, before we move on to something else, and it was about Donny van der Beek. Let's grab it up. It's from Mike. Where would Donny van der Beek fit in if he's to transfer at the end of the season? Someone that could have left last summer, but decided to stay.
Yep.
He wants to further his game. I think he will this season, and he will leave next summer. Where's best for him?
Yeah, it's possible he could leave in the winter, during the winter break, or even next season at the latest, maybe.
At the latest.
I had the impression that a few players may have left if Ajax didn't do well in Europe. They've done all right. They're in the group stage now. They're doing fine, so no issue there. But I had the feeling that Donny, Onana, and maybe one or two others were kind of thinking about leaving, maybe Ziyech as well. But they should stay, well, they can't leave right now, but they should stay until the winter break anyway, but maybe even the entire season. Donny should go to, I think it's a tough one to call. He should go to a team where he can play like how his role was envisioned. So there was interest from Real Madrid. I don't think he should go there unless he can play the style that he prefers to play, like Frankie de Jong at Barcelona. He gets thrown around the team,
like left midfield and that kind of thing. Yeah. But Donny's got a very specific role. You can't just say, oh, he's a 10 like Rafael van der Vaart. He's not. He's not someone who works exactly with the striker. That's part of his game, but it's not his whole game. And that should suit him. I think the club has to be right for him. I wonder if he'd do something like a PSG and just take some money. But I think he's quite career driven, isn't he? Otherwise he might have left the money before now. He wants first team football and good money. I wonder where he could get that. Maybe get Real Madrid come calling next summer. Or England. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking the steps up are obviously the bigger teams in Spain, but then will he fit there? You've got a couple of teams in France, you've got Germany, and you've got England, maybe Italy, but I don't think that really suits him. So that leaves the top half of the Premiership.
But
maybe not your Liverpool, Arsenal,
do you think
Man
not?
City.
Do you think it's that good?
Maybe, but I don't think he will be a regular starter there, or maybe not in the beginning. So he should look at mid-table maybe.
Okay, that's interesting. I personally think he'll get a bit higher than that. I think the Dutch national team will help elevate him to that, especially if he performs well at Euro 2020 next summer. I think that he'll have that opportunity given to him from a real top club. I mean, being named in the Ballon d'Or shortlist is surely a good sign. There's one actually.
I'm not sure if he'll be an immediate starter. Let me put it that way. Could he go to Liverpool? Could he go to Tottenham?
No, I think Tottenham maybe. They're struggling at the minute, but maybe Liverpool, Man City it'd be more difficult. The Ballon d'Or shortlist had some Ajax players in, some names that we know really well. Do you think we could name all of those right now? It was Donny, wasn't it? Donny van der Beek from last season. Was it De Ligt as well?
De Ligt was on there. Yeah.
Anana was in the goalkeepers. Who else was there now?
I'm actually going blank there now.
Yeah, it's very frustrating when you can't quite remember. Anyway, there were all these star players named from last season. Frankie as well. Frankie's one.
Yeah.
But why not Hakan Ziyech?
No, that's a good question.
Because arguably, other players he's proved himself more than some of these other players. So why not?
Yeah. I think the problem with Hakim Ziyech is that I rate him and I think he's good, but he's maybe one of the more inconsistent players. In that sense, which was very clear against Chelsea. He has a couple of fantastic passes, and then he just gives 10 balls which go nowhere.
He's quite erratic, isn't he?
In that sense, that is his weakness, and that's also his strength. Is he can do something which is unexpected. But I think that also is the reason he's only going to go to that club where he feels that he will be
the star,
special
one he's relied upon,
but where he will feel perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But it's also holding him back a little bit. He could have already been playing for Roma or maybe somewhere in England, but he's the kind of guy, I think, it seems, that wants to make the exact right choice at the exact right time. But
it's not going to happen for him. And I actually think he could be looking at someone who will be at Ajax for a long time now still. I think so. Because he seems happy there, he seems settled. He's at the middle of his career. He's winning prizes. Playing well in the Champions League, why would he want to move on? Everyone loves him, all the fans do.
Is it? I'm a bit old school, but is it such a bad thing that a player would remain at Ajax for, I don't know, 5, 6, 10 more seasons?
Well, he's that man who can set that trend, I think.
As long as they're performing as they are now, I mean, they're competitive in the Champions League. I don't know, Ajax could reach the quarterfinals, maybe even the semi-finals. I don't know. It's tough to call, of course, but he's got brilliant wages.
Yeah.
Maybe Ajax, PSV, and one or two more teams can improve the overall standard as well a little bit.
Yeah.
Is it such a bad idea to stay at Ajax for 5, 6, 10 more seasons?
I think we'll soon find out with that one, won't we? Because he might set that trend with other players in the future. We should move on.
I thought it was very nice to see Huntelaar and Tadic returning to Ajax, for example.
And they're now there for a long time. I think Daley Blind might be one as well, but does exactly the same thing. It doesn't set a trend just for Ajax, it could set a trend for a lot of Dutch players coming back to the Netherlands to play a lot more football. Quincy Promes will perhaps be the next one as well. one of the big things that happened the last few weeks was the Dutch national team, and we did quite a bit on Football-Oranje about how those matches went.
Yep.
You were actually part of that on our website. So we've both been talking about what didn't go so well actually with Ronald Koeman's side. Where does the team go from here? Because there's matches coming up in November, big matches to qualify, just to make sure. But if you go through those matches thinking, oh, well, it's okay, we can get a draw, we can drop more points, and then you go to March and the same thing happens, you're then sleepwalking into Euro 2020. And you're not going into the tournament in your best form. Or is that actually a good thing? That they save their best for the tournament?
Yeah.
Yeah, because issues are coming up, I think, within the team. More issues than there were before. And it's perhaps at the wrong time? Or is it a good time?
I don't know what to think of that, Mike. No, there's a few more games coming up, and essentially it's a must qualify. Northern Ireland away could be maybe tricky.
Well, that could be the one that exposes all the problems we've been seeing recently.
Yeah.
The wins have been covering the cracks.
Yeah, but I mean that should still be a win, but that could be a complicated match, and then there's one or two left, and that should really pose no challenge. And then the team should be working towards the actual championship. I'm pretty much assuming that Koeman already has his squad in mind, and it will be more or less the team that he has currently available.
Yeah. So unfortunately, won't be seeing Calvin Stengs, for example. I just do not think there's room for him.
Well, I mean, it's still 6 months away, or even something, even a little bit longer.
Things
than that.
can change, but he doesn't seem to be willing to take a risk.
But
now.
he's got the foundation. That's I mean, we've got the starting 11, maybe one or two changes, and out of the how many people can we bring? 23 or is it 25?
Usually 23, 25, isn't it? Yeah.
So he's probably got 20, 21 set, and then there's 2 or maybe 3 that could be maybe one guy's in and we can replace it with another one. There might be an injury, can always happen. We're not going to see any drastic changes to what there is now.
There doesn't need to be.
It doesn't need to be.
It's just one or two positions which could change and make things better. People that are maybe getting a little bit too reliant upon being picked, I think, need to be given a little bit of a shake.
I don't know if there needs to be a shake. No, I mean, we've done well in the important games, especially against Germany. That was where it needed to happen, at least from a result standpoint. It wasn't as good against Northern Ireland and Belarus, but those were still wins. But yes, definitely the play was poor, the play was sloppy. But that is something that Koeman will need to work out as well as with his current players. And I think the key players somehow will need to figure out as well how to get everything at the right track for the European tournament. I think it's Koeman, his assistants, and the important players that need to look at themselves like, okay, how are we going to get focused?
Yeah. It should come from within, shouldn't it?
It should come from within, yeah. And that's I can somehow imagine that the players will be like, okay, we're playing Belarus now. That's not the most exciting game of our careers. They're not.
It could well be that good.
In one way, they're not allowed to think it, but that's always going to happen.
Yeah.
But when you're at the European tournament, okay, now it's business, and now it really needs to happen.
Yeah. Sure.
And I think that is for the players and for the technical staff themselves to get going.
Given the sense of unity around the team, I agree with that, and I think that will come out. And the leaders within that squad, Van Dijk and whatnot, they will be the ones that bring out the best from the players and get that sort of right attitude about the tournament. I think I've got no doubt about that. And then people will still say that other players should be included, but maybe that's not essential. Maybe that's not what is needed. Maybe he doesn't need loads of young players thrown into the squad right now. Maybe that's not the answer.
Yeah. No, I think the foundation as it is good. I mean,
it's one of the best in Europe.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it in a previous podcast. I'll say it again. I think Holland are one of the 4 or maybe 5 contenders for the championship.
You've got to hold them to that.
No, it's Holland has a good chance to be European champion. Yeah. I see a lot of people, for example, looking at it rather day to day. Oh, Matthijs de Ligt's form is not fantastic, and I agree. He needs to be replaced with Stefan de Vrij. I don't. You can give de Vrij some minutes, of course. That's not really that big of a deal. But I mean, I'm all for keeping it intact. There are no major flaws at the moment.
No.
A few players are playing not up to their utmost standard, but do you want to throw the team around every single match?
Yeah, that's not the right idea, is it?
No.
That's what we did before Koeman arrived.
Mm-hmm.
We were throwing players in and out that we just thought, oh well, that can change. That could be someone different. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Didn't work.
No. No.
De Ligt, for example. Let's throw this 17-year-old in. No, ultimately it worked out in the long run, but that wasn't the reason by throwing him into that kind of match. Yeah.
No, I think we have our 25, 30 players that are in the national team or very close. And it will come down to form for a few players, and it will come down to whether a player is injured or not. We have what we have currently. You could say, can we throw a Strootman out for a Koopmeiners, for example?
That might be an interesting idea.
Berghuis out for a Stengs.
Yeah.
Something like that could happen,
Yeah.
but that will be. Those are two of the maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 players that are give and take.
Mm-hmm.
How is their form? Are there injuries? Who will be the third goalkeeper? It doesn't really matter.
That's not a big deal, is
No,
it? No. Let's talk about Berghuis and his side Feyenoord. Yeah, it's going really topsy-turvy for them at the minute. We are recording this before they play Young Boys, by the way. This is a Thursday, and this is before the Europa League games on this day. But even if they did win, I don't think we'd say that everything was solved. They've got Ajax at the weekend as well.
Yep.
Again, if they won both of those games, I think you still wouldn't say things were solved with Feyenoord. If they lose both of the games, you probably would be suggesting a crisis on the cards. I think they're already bordering on a crisis with the Amsterdam. What's going on?
Yeah. I think it's a mess.
It's an absolute mess, isn't it?
Yeah.
Players have been brought in from youth, but also from other clubs, and they're not even like Dutch players. They're from all across the world, I think, and it's a mess.
Yeah. Yeah, there is. I think there's a lot going on at Feyenoord.
Management-wise, players.
Yes. Yeah, altogether, it's too complicated for a short podcast. But I mean, there are many conflicts within the club. I sense, and that has to do with the directors. That has to do with the approach that some of the important people want to take the youth, and there's conflict of interest. The current Feyenoord squad is, as a whole, it's a pretty decent squad.
It's okay, isn't it? It should be the third or fourth best in the Eredivisie, not
Feyenoord,
10th or 11th.
Feyenoord should be third. Okay, they could be fourth. Third, fourth can happen. But I would say third, but if they're fourth, no one's really going to make a drama out of it. But they're struggling at the moment. Okay, they had their issues with injuries. I mean, Jönsson was out for a while. He's on his way back. But how is it possible that Feyenoord have one real proper striker in Jönsson?
Because they don't want to spend any money.
That's crazy. Yeah, but I mean, they were looking for a striker. I think they were pretty close to signing from Wolfswinkel.
Yes.
But I mean, he had that horrible injury, and that's very unfortunate for Feyenoord, mostly for Ricky. I mean, it's horrible. But still, you have to move on. You only have one proper striker. Venter has been loaned out. Okay, Venter's not good enough, in my opinion.
But then they're playing like Banis.
But now they're playing Banis, who's doing all right.
He's very young.
But he's a 17, 18-year-old kid. You can't say, okay, we can play Banis and he's going to score 15 goals. It's not going to happen. Berghuis is getting some minutes as a striker, but he's not a striker, so no. And there are some things fundamentally wrong. I'm still on the fence about Statham as a whole. I'm not sure if he's a good manager. Don't want to be too harsh. But
No, he had a good start with Reading, didn't he? But it didn't end well.
But it didn't end well.
And he hasn't had an impact with Feyenoord. He hasn't come in and changed things. And
It wasn't.
Wow, look at this.
People weren't very excited when he was at Young Ajax. People weren't very excited when he was at Reading. The start was good. The start at PEC Zwolle was really good, but it went downhill really fast.
Is he living off the reputation he had as a player?
Yeah. Well, at least that's probably how he got the Reading job.
I would assume so too. Yeah.
Sorry if I'm harsh, but I mean, Jaapstam is a big name.
He's had a lot of good in his career. Maybe this is
He
the
was a
negatives.
fantastic football player.
He was.
There's been maybe a little bit of a lack of luck, is that a right term? But I mean, Senesi, who I think is a very good player, he's struggling to fit in at the moment. And
well, EA, I thought he was a great addition to start with in that defence, and now he's making mistakes.
Yeah. But there's hardly any current Feyenoord player that is performing up to a good standard. Berghuis is not in form. Jørgensen is not scoring goals. Fer is not playing well. Toornstra's doing all right, but he was injured for the.
I think Fer was good to start with.
Yeah,
but it's dropped off.
Fer has dropped off as well.
Yeah. Larson as well, similar issue.
Yeah. Larson,
okay, but not.
Yeah. Sinistera's doing okay, which is what
promising
we can expect.
To begin with.
It's promising.
Yeah. It's difficult for them, isn't it? But then, at the same time, this shouldn't be a mid-table team. No. There's too much quality there. I wonder if it will be long before we see Statham out of the job.
It's all very close to at the moment, but we could well see Ajax beating Feyenoord 3, maybe even 4-0.
Could that be the signal to the?
Yeah. I think a 1-1 against Heracles is just those are the games.
But they beat Porto.
But they beat Porto, and that
So yeah. And it wasn't like a lucky win; it was 2-0.
No, that was good. That was a good game.
Good game.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they can have all these positive and absolutely negative results. One of the questions we received on Twitter was about Henk Fraser, and I was thinking, actually, could he be someone who's in the frame for the job all of a sudden? The question was from Jordan. Do you think that Henk Fraser, the job he's doing at Sparta Rotterdam, he'd like to see him at PSV one day? Because he's probably got doubts about Mark van Bommel at the minute. We won't delve too deeply into PSV in this podcast. But do you think he's got what it takes to manage one of the big three, Henk Fraser? So could he, for example, go to Feyenoord? Isn't he a Feyenoord fan?
Fraser is absolutely a Feyenoord man. Absolutely. So
he was linked to a while ago, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was one of the names that was. Well, there were many names that were being thrown around, but after Van Bronckhorst left, it was like, okay, who needs to be the new Feyenoord manager? Fraser was one of the people that was named. But he's a Feyenoord guy. I do see him. I mean, well, there's only one guy at the time that can take the Feyenoord role, and I do think they're still thinking about getting Kuyt in there, but I'm not sure how that is going at the moment. Fraser at Feyenoord is something that, from a supporter's perspective, if I was a Feyenoord supporter, it's like, hey, Fraser at Feyenoord, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I would have had my doubts a couple of years ago, but now he seems to be proving himself yet again to be an okay manager, a good manager.
I'm really not sure. I like Fraser. I think he's a very. He seems a good go.
Good hands of expectation.
He seems a good coach. He's a very nice guy. I like that he's very open in his communication. He's pretty straightforward, and he won't be very harsh towards his team, but he will be very clear. Like, okay, I'm not happy with how we've played, and this needs to change, and that needs to change. And he's also positive when he needs to be positive. I very much like that about him. But he has not. He's done okay, but he's not convinced me. He's not convinced me at ADO. He's not convinced me at Vitesse. He's not convincing me at Sparta.
Really?
He's doing good.
I think he's doing his best job so far at Sparta. And he did win the cup with.
It's all going
Vitesse.
okay. It's all going okay.
Yeah.
But I don't see it being fantastic.
Okay.
But it's not bad. No, I agree. It's not bad. It's a difficult one.
But equally, when he did win the cup with Vitesse, everyone was like, "Oh well, where the doubt is now." Well, actually, no, he didn't achieve that much with that team. I think that he could have done maybe more.
I think that.
And he didn't progress it after the cup either. It didn't go well after that.
I think that Vitesse overall, under Fraser, didn't really play fantastic football either.
And that might be the issue as well.
And that was an issue. They performed pretty much as they should.
Yeah.
I mean, winning the cup is good, there's no doubt about it. But would any other coach any other proper coach have done a lot worse? League-wise, I don't think so. He's done an okay job everywhere he's been. Was he great? No, maybe not. Was he bad? No, absolutely not. And I think I like him. I liked him as a player, his attitude, and he's kind of has the same attitude now as a manager. And I think he's one of the good guys. But it's really difficult to see him, envision him making a step up to Feyenoord or even PSV. And I have my doubts about Stam, and I even have my doubts about Van Bommel. But yeah, do I see a manager like Fraser stepping in? Do I see another manager like Stein already stepping in? Who are?
Well, I thought so at the time.
Yeah, who I consider could be an option for Feyenoord as well. But it's a big step to go from ADO, Vitesse, Utrecht, those kinds of clubs, and then make a step up towards
as a player
the
and
big
the
three.
manager.
It's a big step.
Yeah, it's different atmosphere around the whole club. It's a whole bigger animal altogether going to any kind of club like that.
Because we're talking about, I'm saying it, Jaap Stam is at risk at the moment.
Yeah.
And how many games are we into the season?
Well, if the Europa League is about 15 for him.
Yeah.
That's enough games to make a bit of a judgment on who he is. So.
That's enough. That's enough games to make a decision, a judgment. But there are lots of other teams that might be struggling that are not even considering changing their manager.
Yeah, Fortuna, for example, or FC Waalwijk. It's expectations, and Feyenoord's expectation is not to be
Feyenoord's expectations are that they need to be third or fourth for a while.
And
if they're
competing in Europe.
If they're fifth or sixth, there's no drama. But right now they are 10th, and okay, Feyenoord's going to be a difficult game. But if they win 2 out of the next 3, then things look okay.
Yeah. But I think this will continue throughout the season. I don't think it's going to get any better.
They will absolutely need to get better. Yeah.
Let's talk about Henk Fraser's old team then, Vitesse Arnhem.
Oh yeah.
First of all, before we talk about what we're going to talk about, some of you may have heard this in the media maybe. If not, you're going to enjoy this. But first of all, Vitesse have been doing really well this season. Learned Slutsky's the first person to say they've been a little bit lucky perhaps in some of their results. They were currently sitting 3rd place in the league. That could be about where they're trying to compete this season, 3rd, 4th, 5th place, but better than expected. That's gonna. Okay, that's fine. The video's ended, but that's fine. Yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, the video will just have ended, but we'll keep the recording going for you. The iPad memory's full, I'm afraid. Let's keep going though. Anyway, talking about Vitesse. So yeah, they maybe could be performing a little better than we expected this season. But then all of a sudden, there's this bust up in training.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, it's a bit bizarre, isn't it? Because yes, Vitesse are doing a great job.
They're taking the chances in games, scoring loads of goals.
Yeah. They've been a bit unfortunate. Well, that's fine. I mean, initially, if you look at your pre-season predictions, you're going to put Vitesse anywhere ranging
top 6,
from
7, maybe.
Some people will say 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th.
I think I put them 8th. I think I tipped them to struggle a little bit this season, but that hasn't happened. So far.
No. Well, I actually don't remember where I put them, but I would say 5th, 6th. Feyenoord, AZ, Vitesse, Utrecht are all pretty close. Am I forgetting someone? I don't think so. But yeah, they're doing a fine job at the moment, and I think Slutsky seems like an excellent manager. He's the problem is he's just so incredibly lovable. He can do many bad things, and you're still going to like him.
Yeah, if you don't know this already, follow his Instagram account.
Oh yes.
We'll have a little look if you don't have Instagram. It is a very good laugh, isn't it? It's funny.
Давайте, пожалуйста, господин Slutsky. And that's about the extent to my nice Russian. But yes, he's a wonderful character, and I'm enjoying it, and it looks like things are going well at Vitesse. But yeah, then all of a sudden, there seems to have been an issue yesterday on training. I'm not fully 100% aware of what has happened, because I was watching the Ajax game, watching the rest of the Champions League highlights, and kind of went in between. But apparently Richard Bazour and Jeroen Thijssen got into an argument at training. Okay, that can happen, but it got a little bit heated. And allegedly, this is all that I'm reading on websites, but the more main news sites, allegedly Bazoer said something like, "Okay, I'll look you up and I'll see you after the training," more or less like, "Okay, let's have a good old jolly fight," something like that. Apparently later he also said to manager Leonard Litsky that I don't want to play for your team anymore, and then he used some
expletives,
some words that we won't mention in this podcast. And I think that I read this morning that Bazoer also didn't show up for training today, but don't pin me down on that. But if that has happened, then we've got a big of then Vitesse does have a little bit of a problem, and that's a crying shame because Bazoer is
yet again he's letting himself down.
He's doing a fine job at Vitesse.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to be the best Eredivisie player, but he's fine. He's a good player. He's decent. There's nothing bad about him. He's doing good. But he's had issues at Ajax, he's had issues where he's been, and now again at Vitesse, and it's such a shame, because he's a fine player.
Yeah, you can say that he's like the absolute boss in midfield, but his temperament, it got him sent off already this season.
Yeah.
And it has not helped him in the past. But yet again, he's letting his career down by making stupid decisions such as this. I assume eventually an apology will happen and he'll come back into the team, but it's another one of those where I don't think other clubs in future are going to go, oh, well, let's sign Richard Bazoer. He's got a good attitude.
That's a problem. You can have an incident once. Okay, maybe you can have an incident twice, and then you can say, hey, circumstances, this happened, that happened, the trainer was an idiot. Yeah, okay, you can kind of say that once, but it's not once, it's not twice, it's many times now. I mean, I'm not going to doubt his qualities as a football player. He's fine. And he's actually, if this didn't happen, and if his season at Vitesse would just have progressed as it has been going at Utrecht last season and Vitesse this season, I could have seen him at Ajax, Feyenoord, PSV, or any fairly decent foreign club again. But they're all going to scratch their head now and go, yeah, okay, what happened here?
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it is. I think one final thing I want to talk about in this podcast, we talked about loads of things already. We can't talk about every single Eredivisie team, unfortunately. But something that came to my mind the other day was certain how talents come through. And Bazoer's one of those that came through, had promise, but he ultimately let himself down. But when you look at the young Ajax, young PSV sides right now, young AZ as well, you can throw into the mix of that. Unfortunately, there's loads of players that will never make it. There's talents that you think are very promising, and everyone calls them a very good talent, but most never make it to professional level, but also to the top, well-paid level, playing abroad, and so on. I wanted to ask who you think are the next batch of talents coming through. One of those I met this week, for example, Chris Gloucester. Interview will be on Football-Oranje hopefully very soon. I think he's going to be one of those for PSV, filling in that void at left back. But I don't know if there's any more from that batch of players that are really going to make a big impact.
Yeah, of course.
And you are the football manager guru. You decide who's going to make it on the game.
Yeah.
You must know better than most people.
Yeah, I also do something for this crazy game called Football Manager. Yeah, you're right. And we've got the new game coming up in November. So
buy it.
Yes, buy it, you must. I am responsible for everything that goes around in the Dutch leagues, and definitely there's a good batch of talent coming up. Fortunately, yes, I'm glad there is. It's good for Dutch football, and then always good for football as a whole. So Gloucester is more or less a left back, which is always a difficult position. The back position.
It's a rare position.
The more rare. So that might be an advantage for Gloucester, because there's not that many that are going to be really good. Obviously there are a few starlets that are definitely going to break through.
Such as.
A little bit older already, probably already established. Ihataren at PSV. But he's already pretty much in the first team, so that's an easy shout. Nachi Univar at Ajax, fantastic talent.
Dijn Gravenberg?
Gravenberg was going to be the next guy I was going to mention. His only issue might be that he's in a position where there are quite a few other good players.
Particularly at Ajax as well, which could hinder his development.
Yeah, so it would be good for him if Donny van der Beek leaves.
True.
But it's, de een zijn brood is de ander zijn dood. That's what we say in Dutch. One's bread is the other one's dead. Oh, that doesn't really translate, does it?
No, it doesn't translate well at all, no.
But
anyone outside of that Ajax PSV sphere?
So young Ajax have a few really good talents breaking through. PSV, I think, a little bit less so.
I like Kenzo Geldmijn at AZ.
I like Jorbe Vertessen at young PSV. I do like Kenzo Geldmijn at AZ. I'm actually thinking, is that the real major one that is still on my list? Kian Fitzjim, who went from AZ to Ajax, is also a very interesting guy to look into. Young Feyenoord youth still has a few decent players, but they have the issue that the young Feyenoord team is nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
They're in the reserve league, and that's a big issue. So they're under 17 talents. They're probably going to need to change to the top three. In that sense, being Ajax, PSV, and AZ actually. But Unovar is going to be great. Gravenberg is going to be great. And there are a couple of those guys, Brobbey and Hansen.
Yeah.
Which I'm not
super
100% sure about.
Yeah.
I think that they will make it, but will they make it that big? That's going to be a question. And then you're going to have to look at the positions that are not really that well catered for, if that's the word. So you've got your left backs. You've got a guy like Anas Salahedin at Ajax as well.
Yeah.
That might not be the bestest, biggest, fantastic talent, but he's in a position where there are not going to be that many players breaking through. So he could be an interesting guy for the future.
Okay. There's a few that have been in the Netherlands youth teams as well, and again sort of taken an interest, and there's so many things, so many factors to consider, isn't it, when you say someone's a talent? That is it, they're a talent. Doesn't mean they're going to be a superstar.
No.
And people seem to forget that very quickly, especially on bandwagons on social media. They instantly think someone's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I mean you can see some kid doing really well and score 4 goals in a youth game against, I don't know, some Ajax team playing against Chelsea. Score 4 goals. Okay, this is going to be the next Van Basten. This is going to be the next Kluivert. It's going to be the next Bergkamp. You don't know that after one game.
No.
We've had that so many times. Even players like Kasper Dolberg, who's played wonderful goals, who scored wonderful goals, and he's just not been able to do it at Ajax for so many reasons that you can think of. But yeah, is he a good football player? Yeah, absolutely, there's no doubt about it. And then there are so many youth talents that will be on all the scouting lists, and for one reason or another they're not going to make it. And that could be growth development, that could be pure luck, that could be injuries, that could be family issues, that could be something mental. Does the player really have that drive? And it could be that a club knows that, hey, this right winger could be a really good player for the future, but he needs another year. We're going to bring another right winger in, and that hinders that talented player for another 2 seasons.
It's a very Dutch way, isn't it, to do what they do, and that's to play the players as much as they can.
Yeah.
Giving them that chance, even if they're not that great, and it's kind of throwing a deep end approach.
I do think that Dutch football is really good at that a lot of the young talents will actually get a few games in.
It produces more than other countries.
I mean, I know, for example, that's completely different, like the Argentinian league, they're not going to play that many 16, 17, 18-year-olds. I mean, there's a great depth of talent there as well, but those 16, 17, unless they're Messi type level, but they're not going to play those 16, 17, 18-year-old players. They are going to keep playing the 20, 21-year-old that does have that little bit more experience, and I don't know, I guess a little bit more strength and technique. Whereas the Dutch teams will be like, oh, you know what, we're going to give that kid a chance and see what happens. And that is and that is one of the nice things about Dutch football, and that is how we're going to see a little quicker see some of the talents rise up. I mean, and that's also what I like about the young teams in the second tier. From a football supporter perspective, I don't like it. If I were an opposing supporter, if I'm let's say if I were a Helmond or a Go Ahead fan, just some more or less random teams, I'd hate having to play against Jong AZ, Ajax, Jong Utrecht and Jong PSV. However, those
for the general wide scheme of Dutch football, that is fantastic.
Yeah, because those 4 teams are developing quite a few more talented players quicker than if 2 or 3 talented players would have been loaned out to Almere City, which is good for those players. Yeah. But now it's not 3 or 4 or 5. Now it's like 10 or 15. Yeah. And they're not all going to play for Ajax 1 or PSV 1.
They may well end up playing for those teams that are getting played against in that second division. They probably will need those players that are filtering down in the end.
You've got your, I think a good example is Sven Botman, who I actually don't think was that good at Jong Ajax, and who I think would never, ever, ever make it in the first team of Ajax. He's been loaned out to Heerenveen, and he's actually doing a good job. Yeah. Fair enough, he's doing a good job. I am surprised, but if those kind of guys who have been playing, I don't know, 2 maybe 3 seasons in Jong Ajax, who've been okay, and then they make a step up. Ajax is too big of a step, but he's doing okay here in Feyenoord. Okay, that's very interesting. He's not going to make the national team, he's not going to make Ajax, but you know, he's going to play at Heerenveen, and then next season, or 2 seasons from now, he's going to end up at, I don't know, Middlesbrough. Yeah. Very decent team somewhere, Premiership or Championship, and he's going to earn himself $1 million euros. Everybody happy, right?
Yeah. Fair play to him.
Yeah, fair play.
Well, let's drink to that. Thanks for coming in on this podcast, Jeroen. Really, really good to have you on here again.
Yeah, cheers.
And
thank you for having me. And on a very happy note, I hear that this also gets airtime in Australia.
Yes, we do.
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie.
Okay, well, stay tuned to Football-Oranje for everything good about Dutch football in the English language. And yeah, like and subscribe wherever you're listening.
Thanks, guys.
And yeah, we'll record something again soon. Thanks for listening.